journey is usually the part that you remember anyways.
Have you ever cringed while listening to your own voice recording? You're not alone, it's a common experience. Many people find their recorded voice strange or even unpleasant. This reaction is not vanity, it's rooted in the science of sound and self-perception. We'll explore why our own voices often make us cringe. Our daily communication relies on spoken language. We hear others' voices, we speak ourselves, but listening to a recording of ourselves introduces a new dimension. Suddenly we are confronted with an externalized version of our voice. This experience can be jarring, creating a sense of dissonance. We question, do I really sound like that? This reaction is not limited to our voices. Seeing ourselves on video can also trigger a similar response. We are used to experiencing ourselves from the inside. Our self-perception is built on internal sensations and how we imagine ourselves to be. External recordings present a different image, one that we may not readily identify with. This discrepancy between our self-perception and external representations creates a feeling of unfamiliarity. It's like meeting a stranger who shares our name and face. This unfamiliarity is a key reason for the cringeworthy feeling we experience. It challenges our internalized self-image. Section 2. The Science of Sound, Why We Sound Different to Ourselves. The sound of our voice is influenced by how it travels to our ears. When we speak, sound waves travel through the air, reaching our ears externally. This is called air conduction. However, our own voice also reaches our inner ear through vibrations in our skull bones, known as bone conduction. Bone conduction transmits lower frequencies more effectively than air conduction. This means that when we speak, we hear a richer, bass-heavy version of our voice due to the internal bone vibrations. However, recordings only capture the air-conducted sound, resulting in a higher-pitched voice that we perceive as unfamiliar. Think of it like listening to music through headphones versus speakers. Headphones, like bone conduction, provide a more intimate and bass-heavy sound. Speakers, like air conduction, offer a more externally projected sound with less bass. This analogy illustrates why our recorded voice sounds different from our self-perceived voice. The difference in sound transmission explains why our recorded voice sounds unfamiliar. We are accustomed to the richer, fuller sound we hear through bone conduction. The recording presents a thinner, higher-pitched version that we don't recognize. This acoustic discrepancy contributes to the cringe factor. Beyond the science of sound, our reaction to our recorded voice is also shaped by our self-perception. We all have an internalized image of ourselves, including how we think we sound. This self-image is influenced by our self-esteem, personal experiences, and cultural norms. When we hear our recorded voice, our inner critic often kicks in. We start analyzing and judging our tone, pitch, and even our accent. This self-criticism stems from a natural desire to present ourselves positively. We want to sound confident, intelligent, and articulate. Any perceived deviation from this ideal can trigger insecurity and self-doubt. Think of it like looking in a mirror with a critical eye. We might focus on perceived flaws, magnifying imperfections. Similarly, when hearing our recorded voice, we often hone in on aspects we dislike, amplifying them in our minds. This negative focus contributes to the cringeworthy feeling. It's important to remember that our self-perception is not always objective. We tend to be more critical of ourselves than of others. This is because we hold ourselves to higher standards. This inherent self-criticism plays a significant role in our reaction to our recorded voice. While cringing at our recorded voice is a common reaction, it's not a permanent condition. Just as we learn to accept our physical appearance, we can learn to accept our voices. This acceptance starts with understanding the science and psychology behind our reaction. Recognize that the discrepancy between your self-perceived voice and recorded voice is natural. It's a result of different sound transmission methods and our own self-criticism. Accepting this difference is the first step towards feeling more comfortable with your recorded voice. Remember that your voice is unique and an integral part of your identity. It allows you to communicate, express yourself, and connect with others. Instead of focusing on perceived flaws, try to appreciate the communicative power of your voice. Shift your perspective from self-criticism to self-acceptance. Embrace your voice as a tool for expression, connection, and personal growth. This shift in mindset can help you overcome the initial cringe and develop a more positive relationship with your recorded voice. While accepting your voice is important, there are also practical steps you can take to minimize the cringe factor. These tips focus on familiarizing yourself with your recorded voice and improving your speaking skills. Record yourself regularly. The more you hear your recorded voice, the less foreign it will sound. Start by recording yourself reading a book or having a casual conversation. Over time, the unfamiliarity will decrease, and the cringe response will lessen. Practice speaking clearly and confidently. Focus on your articulation, pace, and tone. Practice speaking in a clear and concise manner, projecting your voice with confidence. This will not only improve your recorded voice, but also enhance your overall communication skills. Listen to recordings of your voice objectively. Instead of focusing on perceived flaws, listen for areas where you can improve. Pay attention to your clarity, intonation, and pacing. Use these observations to refine your speaking style and minimize any aspects that trigger the cringe response. Remember that improving your recorded voice is a gradual process. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small victories along the way. As you become more comfortable with your recorded voice, you'll gain confidence and improve your overall communication skills. Our voices are an integral part of who we are. They carry our thoughts, emotions, and stories. While the initial reaction to our recorded voice can be cringeworthy, it's important to move beyond this initial discomfort. Understanding the science and psychology behind this reaction can help us approach our recorded voices with greater acceptance. By recognizing the role of bone conduction, air conduction, and self-perception, we can begin to reconcile the difference between our self-perceived voice and our recorded voice. Embracing our sonic selves is an ongoing journey. It requires us to challenge our inner critics, focus on self-acceptance, and actively work towards improving our speaking skills. As we become more comfortable with our recorded voices, we unlock the full potential of our voices as tools for connection, expression, and personal growth.